Hello and welcome to WarrenThornton.com. So there we are. Welcome to WarrenThornton.com. Welcome to the daily news show that we have. And of course, it is Tweedy Tuesday. We are joined by Sputnik's journalist, James Tweedy. Hello, James. How are we?
I'm good. Thanks, Warren. How are you?
Absolutely splendid. A lot better than the people who are stuck in the middle of Pokrovsk, I think. There is some things that, as normal on a Tuesday, we will be getting stuck into most things to do with Ukraine, for the simple fact that we have James with us. And while we've got somebody from Sputnik with us, we like to talk about all things that are happening. We'll get into this in a bit. Ukraine being caught doctoring a war crime, basically blowing up civilians. They were caught, and of course they then tried to doctor the video to make it look as though the Russians did it, which was a bit naughty. We're going to get into all of that in a second. But James, I wanted to sort of get your opinion on the Black Hawk debacle, as I'm calling it. It is unbelievable that they sent these, shall we say, on this wonderful thing. We had Sersky in Pavlorad, and basically trying to talk these guys into it. From what we know, there are two helicopters that are landed, shall we say, near the steelworks. We're getting Larry Johnson's turning around and saying there's CIA people in there that they're trying to extract. We're hearing from other sources that the Ukrainians were trying to plant a large flag on the Azov steel factory, because that's basically what they do. They think that propaganda, shall we say, that there's all sorts of crazy things going on here. What's your take on this? Why did they do it, first of all?
I don't really know. I'm not sure exactly what it was supposed to achieve. I mean, they landed about a dozen men, and the Russians said that they killed all of them. Well, they killed 11 men, all 11, they say. So, but what was sending in 11 men supposed to do? I mean, I don't buy the idea that there were CIA agents on the front line. No. I mean, if they were, they'd be in Kiev or something. But,
but Larry Johnson likes his CIA.
Right. So it's a strange one. Maybe it was like you say, like some kind of propaganda effort, to try and get it done. I think that's Kirill Budinov, or Kirillo, or however you say his name. Yeah. Kirillo Budinov in the picture, who's the head of the military intelligence. I don't know. It's bizarre.
Okay.
Maybe they were trying to take a couple of prisoners, and get away with it or something, in the helicopter.
Yeah. I'm going to come out with a statement that I made today. It's quite a long one, so I do apologise you having to wait, Mark Breckle. But let's let Mark Breckle talk first. Mark Breckle.
Well, basically, there's a fuel station just on the outskirts of Pokrovsk. They were trying to get to that. Whether they were trying to rescue some NATO drone people, then some Russians were saying, well, they're going to fly into Pokrovsk, save it, and then end up in Crimea. So
yeah, of course.
There's been quite a lot of different theories, but
Yeah.
Strategically, no sense whatsoever.
Here's what I have. So the Black Hawk rescue narrative. There are many out there saying that the two efforts in Pecos was some heroic rescue mission to rescue some high-ranking general, or indeed two very important CIA operatives, and indeed because the real reason may be utterly unfathomable to normal human beings. This may well be a narrative that Ukraine ultimately put out to justify these two harebrained schemes. Now, the truth, I believe, is far more chilling and far more disturbing than most people can possibly fathom. It is also one that no one in the West ultimately wants to admit or to have you realise. Indeed, you may still not be able to accept the uncomfortable truth and may opt for a wild conspiracy theory as a comfort blanket. So the facts of the two failures are very straightforward. Ukraine's sources claim the operation was to disrupt enemy positions, clear strongholds and restore supply lines. This is nonsense and shows the reason, and shows, shall we say, the reason for the operations is even something they wish to conceal. The first mission, which was launched on the night of the 28th of October, dropped 11 GUR commandos in an open field northwest of Pokrovsk Industrial Zone, or rather the steel factory. The video showed troops disembarking and fanning out rapidly. Insertion, shall we say, was then, shall we say, key to doing this, and of course the insertion was of course going to clear out absolutely everyone and everything. Thing that we have here is they literally fanned out and the visibility, the low visibility at night was to minimize detection, but Russian reconnaissance drones spotted the low-flying helicopters, destroyed the 11 commandos, and then the subsequent mission was launched on the night of the 30th of October using two Black Hawk helicopters, inserted two groups, total of 20 to 24 troops, in the same general area, and they suffered the same fate as the first group. That is the bare bones of the missions. Now let's deal with the nonsense of the high-ranking general. First of all, in my opinion, not a chance. When frontline hardened troops and mercs were being pulled out of Pokrovsk a week before, and raw recruits on suicidal drives were being thrown into the cauldron, if you think for one moment some general was left behind, think again. Even the Ukrainian radio chatter was confirming this, that there was nobody of that ability. Now, likewise, the very silly idea for me that two high-ranking CIA operatives were inside and had not made it out, while some mercenary soldiers from France were pulled out weeks earlier, is simply not the case and covers the real reason for the botched mission, and that's to plant a flag. And I'll say that again, it was to plant a Ukrainian flag on the steelwork. That's rubbish, right? There have been okay, why would anybody do that? Okay, there have been attempts at flying helicopters in before. Remember the suicide mission to the Azov-style steelworks? Everybody, including yours truly, thinking some high-ranking officer must be there. Turned out there was no one of any real importance there. And the men who died trying to get in were carrying a large Ukrainian flag found among the wreckage. Now, the Ukrainians have form on this before, sending a suicidal dinghy to plant a flag in areas already secured by the Russians, killing 3 drone operators just to blow up the flag that was actually on the steelworks in Pokrovsk. In fact, there have been at least 3 instances of this before. There is also the fact that they were dropped in the area of the steelworks. Remember, the PR battle is vitally important to Ukraine and those in the West. Look at how we are bravely holding out against the Russian hordes. It's not just a flag, it's a $10 billion flag. Look at this. If we only had more money, more weapons, look, our guys will not quit when 99% have headed for the hills already. It's a vastly unpopular war. You have to sell, sell, sell. And when your narrative does not fit the facts, you have to convince your backers it is worth it. It's not just money the flag represents, it's also an article of faith of the overwhelming belief in the cause. Unless you're a fanatic or have seen them in action, your mind cannot fathom the simplicity or the madness of these people. Let me give you some clues to what I'm saying. They pay for a vast army of bots and online trolls to shut down anybody disagreeing with the narrative. 11 years they've carried out slaughtering and ethnic cleansing. These are people who use schools and hospitals to fire from while holding people as human shields. Okay? These are people who sexually assault women and before killing them carve a swastika on their chests and leave them in basements, who booby-trap water pumps with mines when they leave, who execute villagers as they abandon the areas, who throw grenades down cellars at civilians, who execute villagers walking home, who use POWs for drone killing hunting practice. who have a website dedicated to killing journalists and anyone speaking out. These are people who beat civilians and throw them into vans. People who throw these poor men into the front with no training, who shoot them if they dare to retreat, who kill them with drones if they try to surrender, who send school children to military camps and make them sing neo-nasty songs at 8 years of age. What we have here is a total blind hatred of Russia. These are people who find dead enemies' phones and call their mothers or girlfriends to taunt them. When you understand this, you understand them. They are not the first fanatics I've seen ripping a country apart for a foreign entity. Sadly, they won't be the last. When the dust settles, I think we'll find the battle for Pokrovsk is over. There will be no high-ranking general, no CIA special operatives, just the dead and the surrendered, just like the Azovstal steel plant. The ideology is very savage and merciless, and its chief basket cases have their children safe in other countries. They think nothing of sacrificing 30 soldiers for the slogan, for the flag, or for the ideology. James Tweedy, your thoughts on that, and then we'll have Sean Murphy. Oh, turn your mic on, James.
Okay, well, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, at Mariupol and the Azovstal factory, there was a huge amount. There was a huge propaganda effort there. That's true. I remember that. And the suicide missions with the helicopters, and they put so much value on this. You know, the Black Hawk helicopters. There were rumors that they'd been supplied, but it was never official. And now that they've revealed that they got them, you know, I don't know what country they got them from. A lot of countries have them, but they revealed them, and they haven't been seen before, so they were obviously being kept as a special resource for special units. You know, like you say, the GUR, the military intelligence, and they risked them. I mean, they could quite easily have been shot down that night. So it's it's crazy that they put so many resources into this one operation, which, like you say, is probably just a show, a propaganda thing. They need to be getting people out. I don't know if they've got that many people trapped still right on the front line in Myrnograd or Pokrovsk, but there's probably a lot more than 11. Let's say there's not a lot more than would have fitted on those helicopters, and they need to do something practical about getting them out if they actually can. Yeah,
which they're actually not going to do because they haven't got it. Sean Murphy, then Mark Breckle. Sean.
So was that actually not 2 but 4 Black Hawks that they lost, Warren?
They didn't do very well, did they? They had a fleet of 10, from my understanding. They now got half that number in one go. So that's a bit
stupid, doesn't it? To be honest,
rather clever.
Because your Black Hawk is going to almost be an infantry workhorse, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, sticking it into an area where Russia have the place just absolutely inundated with drones, it's just like, what are you doing? It just seems like an absolutely idiotic thing.
Crazy. They thought they could sneak in.
Yeah, it simply wasn't going to happen. And it's not only that. No. You also have to look at, did somebody tip them off? Because the Russians knew they were coming. Mark Breckle.
Well, they're still trapped down in Suky Yar, which is right down that southern part. So the trap there, those airborne. But I got a really weird post, and they said that was the Ukrainians were going to try and fly into Red Square. I thought, this is absolute nonsense. Yes. Then the Black Hawk story started. I thought, oh crap! That it's National Unity Day today. You see, I thought, are they going to start and do something stupid today? Because you just never know with the Ukrainians.
You don't.
They're absolutely bonkers.
If they'll sacrifice 30 people for a flag, this is the area that Mark is talking about, Suky Yar down here. This is to the south of Minorad and Pokrovsk. James, the situation in there, our understanding is quite a few have got out, quite a few have got killed going out, and we've got tons and tons of videos to show you on this. The situation on this is looking really, really grim for the people who are in there, because of course Zelensky, God bless him, he's turning around, and of course Sersky and everybody else is turning around and saying that the situation is utterly under control and there's nothing at all to worry about. James, you need to turn your mic on, buddy.
Yeah, sorry. They always say that, and then there's this other thing that people have commented on quite a lot, that Zelensky turns up to places just before the Russians capture them. You know, he turns up and gets a photo in front of. They have this habit of putting large concrete signs with, you know, like concrete steles, they call them, of the name of the settlement, you know, the name of the town. And then he'll turn up and get his photo taken in front of it, you know, take a selfie and then disappear. And then 2 weeks later or a month later, the Russians capture the place. It's like the kiss of death.
Yes.
And so he's done all that. Yeah. I mean, it's like so many things, you know, they're going to say, oh, it will hold, it's holding. And then they'll say, oh, well, you know, we pull everyone out, and, you know, the Russians took loads of casualties and it didn't really matter anyway, and all this sort of thing. So
it's an interesting thing here that he actually turns around and says that they're preparing revenge rather than actually relieving the city. That sort of tells you where the mindset is, James.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's this, the 2023 offensive was launched right after the Russian army captured Bakhmut, or Artyomovsk, as they call it. And they waited for that to happen. And then part of it was, you know, that one of the reasons it failed was that they decided that the Ukrainians decided that for propaganda reasons, they were going to try and take back the city or part of it anyway, or some villages around it. And so, you know, it's possible that they are going to launch some sort of counteroffensive, but I don't think it will be very big at this point. I've got my doubts about how much equipment they've got left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. It would be interesting if they did. You know, it would hasten the end. To be honest, that's the likelihood. There's a danger that if they start offensive now, they're just going to use up reserves of men and material. You know, equipment, tanks, guns, whatever, that they're going to lose in those offensives, and then it's going to get closer and closer to the point where they're going to have to start making a peace deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Reckle.
Where's the counter-offensive going to be? What they're going to do? Throw rocks at them?
I think so. But they've got the wonder weapon coming, haven't they? They've got.
Oh, they got the flamingo. That's all right then.
They've got flamingos too. They can, and that's a rare bird indeed. Sean Murphy.
Yeah, it's Zelensky looks very much like Adolf Hitler in the last throes of the attack on Berlin.
Yes,
where
he's there going push here, push there.
He thinks he's got all these troops and he's got all this defence. And in actual fact, it's the same as with the German Wehrmacht at the end of the Second World War. They had absolutely bugger all except old men and boys.
Yes, I think it's one of those. SJ is saying a flamingo has escaped in Cornwall. I think it's probably been sent over by the British as part and parcel of the next package, along with the Storm Shadows. James Tweedy, sending more Storm Shadows over. Great Britain, Keir Starmer, Mr. Healy.
I'm not even sure they've done that, to be honest. The source of that was some unnamed person speaking to Bloomberg, which runs very, you know, suspect stories of quite a lot of the time. About all sorts of things, not just about the war, about all sorts of things. They run very weird stories, and you kind of, you know, if you know anything about the subject, you know that they're talking rubbish. And anyway, then it's, of course, it's immediately repeated by all the kind of sock puppet news websites that are run by US aid, right?
Yes.
All the Ukrainian news websites that are out there. That anytime you search for something from about Ukraine, you get all these sites coming up, and they're all publishing the exact same story. You know, it's like it's almost written by the same person.
Here's the Bloomberg article you are referring to.
Yeah. Okay. And then we probably did give them a lot, maybe about 200 or something.
Yeah.
Of those, but there's only ever been about 1,500 made, and they you know, some of them were bought by the UK and some of them were bought by France, and I don't suppose the rate of production is very high on them either, and I don't know whether they're going to get a significant number to send, and frankly, the government hasn't announced it. And they've sent them before, so why would they not announce that they were sending more? They usually boast. They usually boast about these things.
Yeah.
So I don't think that happened.
Absolutely. Mark Breckle.
Well, again, they keep bringing this narrative. They're going to hit the Crimean Bridge again.
They're obsessed with that, aren't they?
Yeah, they seem to love it in bridges and trains, and but nothing of military value.
Yes, lots of people do. I mean, you get lots of it where they go, Crimea is, Crimea is Ukraine. Well, it's obviously not, because the Russians have been sitting on it for ages. And just to clear up something, just in case you didn't know, people go, oh, Russia started this when they annexed Crimea. Russia annexed Crimea 5 days after the USA overthrew the democratically elected government of Ukraine, just to put that straight for the record. James, let's have a little look then, because you were saying about lots of where they're going to get the equipment from. Here's a video from Zaporizhia, the Zaporizhia region, and it's being hit very, very hard by the Russians at the moment. As we can see, this is video footage all from the Zaporizhia region, and literally they're absolutely blowing up at anything at all that is, shall we say, on the main southern road in Zaporizhia. They are smashing the living daylights out of everything that's on there. And of course the Ukrainians are going slightly crazy, thinking there's now a push towards Zaporizhia. But there's a push everywhere, James, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean you've got Kupiansk in the north.
Yes.
Right, which is surrounded. And then you've got that whole battle around. You got the battle around Pokrovsk and Myrnograd, and then to the east of there's Konstantinovka, and then there's this kind of, no one's really talking very much about it, but there's actually a fairly relatively rapid advance. You know, it's slow but steady advance into Dnipropetrovsk from Zaporozhye and the south of Donetsk.
Yes.
You know, capturing villages, and that is basically rolling up the whole front line that goes up to the city of Zaporozhye.
Yeah.
And then there's fighting going on that front as well, and then again nobody's really talking about that, but it's going on. When you see these videos, these videos sort of come out about once a day, and increasingly what you see is they're blowing up pickup trucks and things like that, and cars.
Yes.
For like maybe 4-wheel drive cars, but generally sort of cars. And the more, there's more of those now than armored vehicles. So the troops are riding around on unarmored civilian vehicles that they've been donated. Some of them have been donated by the mayor of London, for starters.
They have. Yes, the donations have been rolling in.
Yeah, cars that they bought that the mayor of London, the London Authority, Greater London Authority, bought as part of this kind of scrappage scheme to get cars that weren't compliant with the ultra low emission zone. You see, so they got a lot of pickup trucks and Land Rovers or whatever. Generally, those things are getting sold on second hand around Britain, and everyone in the countryside is driving, like BMW M5s or something. But so they're turning up there.
Yeah,
But they're not driving. They're not even driving around in armored Humvees, which they supposedly had 5,000 of. You know.
Well, the American Bradleys didn't last long, did they? Because there's a place in literally in the middle of Ukraine called Bradley Square. There's that many there blown up and smashed to smithereens.
So they had that. There's that whole problem. They're running out of equipment. A lot of what you see there is something new, though. When it says NRTK, I think it says, in Cyrillic script, they're like ground-based drones that you can use them to evacuate wounded, or they can carry supplies, food, water, ammunition to the troops. But a lot of those are getting hit too, and I haven't heard that they've actually gotten that many. I mean, they got a few from Germany, but unless they're making lots of them in Ukraine, I think there aren't that many of them left, for them to lose.
Every time there's a factory in Ukraine, it gets blown up, and of course they're even running scams now to buy vests and plates for artillery brigades. The 26th Artillery Brigade doesn't need vests and plates. They're raising money there. Of course, how are they getting it into Pokrovsk would be my question. Mark Breckle's been waiting to talk. Mark.
Well, again, they're heading towards a place called Gulia Ipol. That's in the Zaporizhia region. And at the moment, they're fighting a place called Stepnohursk in the Zaporizhia region. But they're using like a drone, a tank-like drone, and they fill it with supplies, and the drone operator lets this little drone tootle down a road to supply the troops with. But the Russian drones are smashing those because they can't get anything in. Those Barb trucks, what James is on about, they cost a fortune, though. But they're not, like you say, they're not protected. They're just normal farm vehicles. So that's the only thing I see now. They're trying to get those drones in, but there's nothing getting in. Everything's getting destroyed with drones.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's stick this up first of all. Right, if you've seen this video, by the way, it's an AI fake. This is meant
і шутить своїх хлопців. Ось вам, бачите? По коліна води, все гниє, броні.
Now, this is meant to be the Belgorod Dam that has obviously then flowed down river and flooded the last defenders in Kupiansk. That is an AI video, by the way. That has happened, by the way, as in sort of inconvenience the Ukrainians. We're not talking about Kupiansk as much as we are Pokrovsk, but that's in more danger of falling right now, isn't it, James?
Well, Myrnograd, this town which is just to the east of Pokrovsk, is pretty much effectively surrounded, cut off. And then in Pokrovsk itself, the Russians are moving across the city from the south. They're just, they haven't surrounded it, but they're capturing it, probably because it's difficult for the Ukrainians to supply the city, because there's only one road open, and I think it's a little country road.
It is, yeah.
So they've got it's going to go, and I think this is like the sort of the end stage. That's what that mission was about. It was partly about it being over. They wanted to pretend it's not over, but it is.
Well, it pretty much is, isn't it? I mean, let's face it. When you sort of look at everything that's going on there, it's pretty much all over. Mark Breckle.
Yeah, a place called Harishny, which it's near it's quite near Pokrovsk. That was the last chance saloon of getting supplies. Now,
it was.
I was listening to it this morning, and they said there was about 1 kilometer gap.
There is
to get through from Pokrovsk to Minograd, and I believe the Russians are pushing them into Minograd. And once they're in Minograd, that's it, game over.
They are. So let's have a little look and see exactly what is happening. What we were talking about here. So here's what we were talking about. Let's move the map down. So this is Minograd here. and of course the Russians are inside Minorad as we speak. Rivne here is being pummeled, and they're being driven out of Pokrovsk and into an even smaller pocket there. Now they have this little gap here, and this is the place that Mark was talking about, Harishny, and this is where the Azov are actually shooting at their own soldiers. This is the gap they've got to try and get through. There are high rises here and here that they are trying to clear, but this is the gap basically that they're all trying to get out along. So they're diving along this road and then trying to make a bolt across these fields because there's nowhere else to go. And of course, if they go to the south, most of the ones who are surrendering are moving towards the south because they're trying to get out of the range of their own drones, which of course do not like them surrendering. But this is where the main Azov was situated, and this is where the supplies are coming into. The other thing we had, James Tweedy, was a lot of nonsense about this is not a brilliant hub or anything like that. But this railway line was a major hub when all the battles were going on, you know, in various places, places like Mykolaiv and various other places as well. Adiivka, many of these places, as I say, on this Russian, or should we say this Ukrainian railway route, this was a huge logistical place for dropping off supplies, James.
I mean, it's not a village.
No.
It's quite a sizable town, but the main thing is that it is the next place before the next place after that, basically, yes, in the campaign to take all of Donetsk. Yes. So from there, they're quite likely to push north and then get very close to Kramatorsk and Slavyansk, which are the biggest city, you know, the last two big cities in Donetsk that the Ukrainian army control. You see, so this is, I mean, this situation here, if that's accurate, I mean they've lost most of the city, and the Russians are going right through the last parts of it. So
yeah,
how can they hold that? You know, I don't think that long kind of salient there is. I don't think the Ukrainians control that.
No, I mean this is Ukraine's #1 German fan here, and if he's saying 85% of the city's gone, then pretty much there we are. Mark Breckle.
95% of Pokrovsk is gone, but the next route they'll be trying to get up to Dobropilya. That'll be the main one where the Russians will take that, and I presume they'll start going more nearer to Kharkiv then when Poltavka they reach there, and Shakahov. So that's going to be the new venture.
Let's have a talk about that then, because obviously we had this area up here. Then once they get up, let's just zoom out a little bit. Once they get a punch up through there, then we've got a real problem. It is a massive problem if they manage to punch through. It's around here, James. That's the last line of their massive defences. They've got quite a few there, but that's the last line as literally as Mark was saying there. And then we get to Slavyansk, and then we get to Kramatorsk, Konstantinivka. This area already, they're inside Konstantinivka. There are battles going on for that at the moment. And once they shut this crossroads off, which it looks like they're going to do, then we've got a problem there as well. Because once they get firepower over that, that's another, should we say, another choke point, James.
Yeah. The trend is there, you know, and it doesn't show any sign of reversing. You know, the Ukrainian army keeps taking losses, and it keeps losing ground, and the Russians keep advancing, and they don't seem to be in any hurry.
No.
And they probably got a plan to keep fighting the war for another couple of years, so they know what they're doing.
Yes.
And yeah, so and it will go on, and that, you know, they're not that bothered. You know, they're not in a hurry to make peace. You know, unless it's on their terms.
Yes, you know, and it's looking worse and worse and worse, isn't it? I mean, we'll just have a quick look at the situation in Kupiansk as well, because that's to the north, up towards Kharkiv, as Mark Breckle was saying there. When we sort of see this area here, they've taken a bit more of this. They're actually down here and further down here, but they tried to get out along the Oskol River, James, and they've just been picked off. I wanted to ask you about this because this is a crazy thing that the Ukrainians don't seem to learn, is that the Russians do this cauldron and they leave a little road open. Rather than going in and storming the city, they sort of starve you out or bomb you out. You try to escape or get men in the other way, and they just pick you off.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, you know, it does seem like that, and it's a kind of attrition tactic.
Yeah, we've lost you on video, James.
Where am I going? Why does it keep dropping out? I think that, yeah, I mean, that is a kind of attrition tactic, and if they're doing that, and then certainly it looks like they're doing that because you've seen it in lots of places before. So the question is, why did they, once the Russians had a bridgehead, which is weeks or months ago, you know, like north of Kupiansk, why didn't they pull those troops out from across the river? And why didn't they, you know, make a better plan for defending Kupiansk, or at least, you know, getting out of it, basically abandoning it and trying to fall back and block the road or something? You see, so they don't have, you know, if their only plan is to basically keep defending Kupiansk until the end, then that's, you know, they've lost, because it is going to get to the end. And then where the Russians can march up the road to Chuguyev, I think the place is not Chuguyev, it's got something like, there's one city, and then there's the city of Kharkov. Or they can march south and start clearing the whole river and get down to you know, to
Zaporizhzhia.
Yeah, like, no, not to Zaporizhzia, to Krasny Lyman and Izium and places like that, and then they're surrounding Kramatorsk and Slavyansk from the north. Yes. And then again, the whole thing starts to fall apart. So,
yeah, Sean Murphy, and then Mark. Then we'll have some video.
Well, it seems to me like the Ukrainians, they keep putting these troops in, and all they're doing is like putting, using a pimple plaster where they need a very large shell dressing.
Yes, yeah, it's like putting a band-aid on a gaping wound. I hear what you're saying. It does seem very ridiculous and very, very stupid. And of course, you're going to get more and more of this happen. With, you know, when you're talking about Lyman and everywhere else, Siversk, we're hearing that they are now inside Siversk, fighting inside Siversk. Mark Breckle.
Yeah, James is trying to say it's Chuhuviv, and it's near a place called Pechensky, and that's in the Kharkiv Oblast. It's in that it's on the main drag. The last one is a place called Rohan. Yeah. That is the last settlement, and you're on the outskirts of Kharkiv. Then it's a full road there, Warren. It goes right all the way up.
Okay. So let's get. Thank you very much for that. Let's give you some videos then. We after the first hour, because we cannot show you this video before the end of the first hour. So in about 15-20 minutes, we're going to show you a video of a Ukrainian war crime so horrific it will make your stomach turn. This is Dnipro. They've been pounding Dnipro, James Tweedy, as we can see from this. Once again, they're hitting the infrastructure very hard in Dnipro and Odessa.
Yeah. Okay. So there is a general escalation in the war of attacks on power stations and oil refineries and things like that. the Ukrainians are managing to hit more of those things in Russia. I mean, they're launching hundreds of drones every night or something to do it, but they're hitting a few things, and the Russians are, are doing the same. They're hitting back, and it's all going crazy. And I don't know. Donald Trump doesn't sort of understand how it, like
no.
How action leads to reaction, and he's like, he's sort of cutting off peace talks again or something. But they don't. I mean, yeah, that's what's going on, and I don't know when it's going to stop. I mean, the Ukrainians, they might hit a few things in Russia, but the Russian retaliation is going to mean that they don't have any gas or electricity in the middle of winter.
Yeah,
I mean, the people don't. Zelensky has probably got his own generator in his bunker, and he's got power. But and the general staff headquarters has probably got its own electricity supply and its own, little gas heaters in the offices or something. But the ordinary people are not going to be very warm this winter.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Let's get a look at this then. So this is Rivne getting hit. This is literally two soldiers trying to hide from drones with obviously heat-seeking capabilities. You're a damn sight safer moving around during the day and then keeping still during the day, because at night you're just an easy target, James.
Yeah, I don't think the day is particularly safe, but
safer, I think.
Yeah, but they I don't know. What you often see is that when there's fighting going on in cities, there's very few. You see like surveillance drone footage of it sometimes, troops moving around. And it's only a handful of men.
Yes.
Out in the open.
So
yeah.
always good to have a few here, a few there. Lee Williams.
They should be educated, because the bloke that was in the army or doing a film was Arnold Schwarzenegger, who used to kill himself in a little bit of mud. But if not, just jump in one of them rivers that cool them down for the heat seeking.
Exactly that. Let's have a look at Krasny Lehman now. And what we're sort of showing you is the effect of drones, because lots and lots of people at the time, you remember when drones first came out, everybody went, no, there's nothing bad here. You don't worry about it and all the rest of it. Well, you should be worried about it, because they are. This is. So the Russians are already in there and clearing out houses, James.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new kind of war. It's a very high-tech war. Maybe it makes it a slow-moving war, because you can't easily move in the open without being attacked by drones. There's the point.
Yeah.
And therefore the whole kind of setup of the NATO armies is out of date now. I don't know what they're going to do. They have to, they're going to have to rethink things completely, So, yeah. And that technology is not rocket science either. It's anyone can. A lot of the time they were just buying, off the shelf hobbyist drones that you can buy off Amazon for about £1,500 or something.
Are these top shelf drones, James?
Off the shelf. They're just, like the DJI Mavic. You can buy that off. They're using a lot of those, and you can buy them off Amazon, or anywhere. You can go to the shop and buy one, In fact, you can get, I think that's it's big enough that it can carry the warhead from an anti-tank grenade launcher. But yeah, I mean, like not those little tiny ones. Those little tiny ones with a camera in. I mean, you can still use those to like spy on people, see what's around the corner and things like that. You see, so the technology is there. It's no one is denied access to that technology. No one has a monopoly on it. So the next time, I don't know, the US invades a country like Afghanistan, they're going to have a problem, aren't they?
Just a bit, yeah. Because you can buy a few thousand drones. I think that might be happening at the moment in Venezuela. Mark Breckle.
Well, what I heard, the Ukrainians are running out of those Baba Yar drones because they've been trying to airlift supplies into different places, and they just can't get anything in. So that's the latest that I've heard about the Baba Yar drones, but they just can't get the supplies in.
Well, they do become they've not only got the problem with the supplies and the problem with the drones, they've got a problem with the drone operators. Let's have a look at this. So this was in Pavlorad, James Tweedy. They decided to have a ceremony for the drone operators, all their best drone pilots or drone operating pilots. They thought that Sersky might be there or somebody decent would be handing out boxes of medals, and literally they blew them all up.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, there's a question why this has happened before. There's a question why they're still doing it, because it's foolish. There's a question about, I mean, either the Russian intelligence intelligence services are well organized and they've got a lot of spies in Ukraine, or these things get leaked, because the last couple of times there were kids in attendance as well, women and children, of the wives and children of the guys who were getting the medals. And some of them were killed along with the others. And I think that was probably, that sounded to me like a sort of deliberate leak. The Russians would, they told, they let the cat out of the bag to the Russians through some kind of controlled source, and the Russians couldn't really ignore that, and they hit the target, they hit the place, and then there were casualties among women and children, and and civilians who were working in the restaurants or wherever, or the town hall where these things were being held, and the Ukrainians use that for propaganda.
They don't learn though, do they? I mean, holding a medal ceremony for 56 drone operators out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I mean, it was in the west of the country, but they know that's still in range.
Yes,
and they should have known. They should have known better than that. I don't know what they're playing at.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, like just get a couple of guys into the headquarters and give them their medals, and
exactly that.
Film it, someone video it, and then you put that out on the internet if you want. Not having ranks of them lined up.
John Murphy.
Well, I think they must have Starmer advising them. Lessons will be learned. Lessons will be learned, but they're not learning.
What we always hear, isn't it? Great call, Mark Breckle.
You are talking about Pavlograd, which is just near Dnipropetrovsk, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Which gets hits more times. Someone gets slammed up. And I can't believe how stupid it is. The thing is, though, Dnipro, that was its Ukrainian name, and Dnipropetrovsk is its Russian name. They're going to change the name, so it'll be full of partisans around there.
Yeah, one of them.
Is anybody different? They'll just say, "Oh, there's a Ukrainians having a party, right? Bomb them."
Yes, Pavlorad does. He gets nailed more times than Keir Starmer in a Ukrainian male disco. Sean Murphy.
I was just going to say, it gets hit more times than a cricket ball in a test match, Warren.
Yeah, exactly that. It is absolutely staggering that they do this. If you're going to do it, do what Zelensky does, and possibly you can do it. Do it in a meeting room or whatever, or do it underground. Where people aren't going to see you, where they're not going to be able to hit you, or they don't know you're coming. At least do that. But let's have a little look at this, because I've talked about nets before, James Tweedy. Let's have a little look at this. James, the 700 million they spent on these nets, we'll get Andy Edge in a minute. James, the 700 million they spent on these nets, complete waste of time, wasn't it?
I think it's one of these things where you're trying to, make the other side use more drones to get the same result. I mean, that's probably about as good as it does. There isn't. Let's see if there's widespread use of systems that actually interfere with the signal, the control signal for the drones. But the point of those fiber optic drones is that makes them immune from that. It's not immune from someone seeing the fiber optic traveling on the ground and then running up and breaking it, cutting it with a knife or something. But it means they can't be jammed or anything like that. They can't really, you can't really cut off the control signal to a fiber optic controlled drone.
Okay. Let's let Lee Williams in. Lee Williams.
I was just going to say, are they anything to do with DVLA? I'm joking. Are they very, very good at flying not only aircraft but drones? That is very, very, very accurate. What they can do with them drones.
Well, I believe, James, the Russians have a specialist drone unit, don't they? They're very good at this.
There's a few. There's one that's called Rubicon, which publishes a lot of videos. But I mean, they know they've learned how to do it. Yeah, you can see they were going up and over the top of that. It's a self-propelled gun on the back of a truck chassis, and they want to try to hit the fuel tank of the truck and set it on fire. That's what will knock it out, really. The gun itself is quite a big hit. It's a big piece of metal, and it might not be easy to damage. But so they kept going at it with like 4 or 5 of them, maybe more than 5, I think, and finally it caught fire.
Yes. Mark Breckle?
Well, they've had plenty of practice. They had a lot of skilled drone operators down in Belgorod and Suja. So they got a lot of students. And all they have to do is just sit in bunkers and just fly these drones into anywhere they want. It's like if you're fighting for 3 years, you're going to have plenty of training on them.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Something else that we need to sort of look at as well. Thank you very much for that, Mark. Something else we need to look at as well. Whitaker's been at it again. He's the US ambassador to NATO. He's as bad, isn't he, as what's his name, Kellogg, and his daughter. I mean, he is just saying, "Oh, peace deal, peace deal, peace deal. Let's arm Ukraine. Let's arm Ukraine." Only viable path forward is through President Trump. Until they start to listen to the Russians, I mean, they've only listened to them on the NATO. They haven't listened to them on the demilitarization or the denazification.
Okay, they're still in this whole thing of they just want to they want to get a peace deal that just ends it without any kind of resolution of the problems, the underlying problems. You know, I mean, apparently, according to the speculation, you know, the rumors that are going around that are getting published in the press, which are not, you know, hard facts. They didn't like the fact that the US government didn't like the Russian demand that Ukraine not join NATO. And I mean, what have they been talking about then? What's all this been about for 4 years, almost 4 years? You know, they must know that. They must realize that. I thought they'd actually conceded that.
I thought they had to, but there we go.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, of course, people are briefing. People who are losing the argument are briefing to the press with all this stuff. You know, I don't know exactly what's going on with this. Donald Trump is playing games. I don't know. I guess it's how he thinks he gets.
It's a very silly game to be playing.
You know, he plays games and he sort of blows hot and cold, and then he threatens people, and then he's like offers them something. You know, but that's not going to work with people who are actually fighting a war. You know. Actually doing it.
Get yourselves ready for some really horrific videos. That is the end of the first hour. Thank you for watching the show. If you want to see the rest of it and what is going on, please come across to warrenthornton.com.